Good morning. I just want to say a few words today about today's solar eclipse, the solar eclipse of April 19th, 2023. Now, solar eclipse happens when the sun and moon are not only conjunct with one another, but also in close proximity to the lunar nodal axis, close to either the north node of the moon or the south node of the moon. And today's eclipse is going to be a hybrid eclipse. And that's somewhat rare. These happen about once every 18 years. And what that means is that it may start out as what's called an annular eclipse, and that's when the moon doesn't completely cover the sun. So there's sort of a ring of fire around the moon. But when it's a hybrid eclipse, there will also be times when it appears to be total, where the sun does appear to be completely covered by the moon. So today's eclipse is going to be a hybrid eclipse. And from an astrological point of view, I think that's going to be a good metaphor for what's happening in the astrological chart for this eclipse. Let me also point out that in both astrological theory and has also been shown by a lot of scientific studies involving the moon's effect upon life on Earth. Things like new moons and full moons, and some studies even show quarter moons, are sort of moments of emphasis in our lives. They make an impact on us, which can last for a while. And in standard astrological theory, an eclipse, either a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, is a moment of even greater emphasis. It has even more of an impact. And so the impression it makes upon us can affect us for several months to come. It creates what I call PTSD, or post-traumatic star disorder. So what occurs in today's eclipse can leave a mark on us to some extent. So let's take a look at the chart for the eclipse we're having today. And I need to share my screen here. And okay, hopefully you can see that all right. And this is the eclipse chart in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'm located. It's going to occur around 9:12 p.m. tonight. And here you have the sun and the moon in conjunction at 29 degrees 50 minutes Aries, almost into Taurus. And that's pretty close to the north node at 4 degrees Taurus. And here we have the south node at 4 degrees Scorpio. Okay. Now, we have a lot of planets in Aries. At the time of this eclipse, we have Chiron, which urges us towards transcendence, but often first causes wounding because our hard shell often needs to be cracked before we can change. So Chiron is going to be at 16 degrees Aries, Jupiter at 23 degrees Aries, and the moon and the sun conjunct at 29 plus degrees Aries. So that's a lot of Aries energy, and Aries has a focus on independence, assertion, and sometimes aggression. So those qualities are going to be highlighted. But there is a square to this pileup from Mars in Cancer. Okay, now in terms of the angular degree, Mars is going to be making a moderately strong square to Chiron. Puts a little further, a little bit more separation from a square regarding Mars and these other planets in Aries, but it is a square by sign. Now, let me mention, Mars is not really comfortable in Cancer. We say it's in its fall in Cancer. When Mars is in Cancer, it can exacerbate our fears and insecurities. And with a square from Chiron, a square by sign from these other planets, there could be a sense that there's some threat out there, that something wants to wound us a bit. So this is not really a very comfortable configuration. Okay, now there's quite a strong square from Pluto in Aquarius to the sun and the moon. And in Aquarius, can represent groups, group creativity, friends, social groups, etc. Pluto is a planet of power. So this could be the power of certain groups that we might feel some oppression or threats from. Okay. And uh, this could be various kinds of groups. It could be like, the Federal Reserve, what it might do. It could also be more local groups like homeowners associations or just about anything. But this square, it's a little uncomfortable, and here's why. If we look at the angular separation between Pluto and Sun and the Moon, it's quite a strong square. But if we look at the signs that these planets are in, uh, Aquarius and Aries, those are two signs which sextile one another. By sign, it's just a 60-degree separation. So in terms of the signs these planets are in, they want to coordinate well together. They want to get along. But in terms of the angular separation, they're at odds with one another. So things just don't feel quite settled. They don't feel quite right. Plus, the sun and the moon, they're only 10 minutes of arc away from entering Taurus. And so there's a kind of a sense that they're sort of eager to move on, to get to the next step or the next stage and whatever is going on. About 7 hours from that eclipse, uh, they will be both in Taurus. So here, 7 hours later, I have the moon in exact conjunction with the north node and the sun at 0 degrees. It looks like my eyes are a little fuzzy here, but I think that's about 8 minutes Taurus. Uh, and things are still quite intense here because both sun and moon are conjunct the north node, and the moon is exactly conjunct the north node. But this is where I think things are going to settle, because now not only are the sun and moon still making a strong square with Pluto by angular degree, they're also making a square by sign. Okay, now with sun, moon, and the north node in Taurus, and the south node in Scorpio, this is a more proper place for things to settle, and it places an emphasis on this Taurus Scorpio nodal axis, which will probably emphasize matters related to finances and survival. So, where things may finally settle is on some fears or insecurity, perhaps about money, finances, or whatever it takes for us to survive. And now this is a more proper square, as I said, between Pluto and the sun and the moon, because they're square one another by degree, by angular separation, and they're square one another by sign. So here we can really see that there might be some concerns about what an institution such as the Federal Reserve or other powers that be, other regulatory bodies, might do to our finances, to our money supply. And it may not be the Federal Reserve. It may be uh, perhaps Congress's failure to raise the debt ceiling, which would be catastrophic for everyone. So there are things out there to be worried about. Now, we still do have this moderate square from Mars to Chiron and a square by sign to Jupiter. So we still have insecurities, fears that something is going to be wounding us, and all of that to deal with. There is a very strong sextile from Mars in Cancer to Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, and sextiles are usually supportive. But I don't think this is going to be all that helpful because Uranus is a very manic kind of energy. It tries to break up the existing pattern. It's the planet of genius and creativity, but also manic depressiveness and erratic actions that in the long run are not very beneficial. And with Uranus conjunct Mercury, there's a chance that uh, people may be urged to take some sort of erratic action, like put all their money into cryptocurrency and then lose it the next day. So some people may have a flash of genius that could help alleviate the insecurities which are being caused by Mars and Cancer. But it's probably more likely that if people are not careful, they may do something erratic, which just makes things worse. We have Venus in Gemini, but Venus is not making any strong aspects to any of the other planets. So I think Venus is going to uh, manifest influence more through all these planets here that we have in Taurus, which Venus is the ruler of. And this takes us back to some concerns about money and survival and some threats from what various groups out there, the groups that hold the power, what they do to us, whether it's the feds or Congress or some other group. So, what is going to help? Well, the one thing which can help release some of the tension here, I think, is shown by Saturn in Pisces, which makes a trine to the south node of the moon and a sextile to the sun, moon, and north node in Taurus. Now, Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac, so it sort of has an affinity for the 12th house. And Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune dissolves things. Saturn, however, represents structure, control, and discipline. So here's what I think uh, this suggests to us that the best course of action will be. We may be feeling insecure. We may be feeling threatened. We may be worried about what various groups that hold power over us might do. What we need to do is pull back, seclude ourselves a bit. We need to let go of those things which are no longer serving us. Let those be the things that dissolve. And instead, we need to start dreaming some new realities, new things which we want to make concrete. So, for the next few months, if you're not feeling quite right, if you have some fears about what's going to happen, some things seem to be out of your control, if the power seems to be with other bodies that could hurt you in some way, pull back. Just pull back from everything a little bit. Take a step back. Go into seclusion either physically in the physical world or mentally. Go back into yourself a bit and think about what things you need to let go of, what things you can trim down, uh, let go of in your life. Think about what new dreams you want to bring into reality. Make some plans for the future. Let go of what's not serving you in the present. meditate, contemplate, discipline yourself a bit, and just relax. And that's what I think might help you over the next few months as you deal with the post-traumatic star disorder that this eclipse may cause. Okay, let me stop sharing here. And that's it. So we'll see how things work out with this eclipse. If things manifest along some of the lines that I've described, if things happen in the way that I think they will, then follow the advice of Saturn and Pisces and the good aspects that uh, that planet is making to the sun, the moon, and the lunar nodes. Uh, just take a pause, relax a bit, let go of those things you need to let go of, and make some plans for the future. It's a good time to bring new dreams into reality. Okay, that's it, and best of luck to all of us as we go forward.